I remember a while ago I looked up how often a team wins after losing 3 inhibitors. 0.1% of the time. 0.1. And G2, they lost their Nexus towers. They lost it all. They lost hope in the game, but they kept on fighting. They stood tall, and they forced Fnatic back. Fnatic fighting for their place in playoffs. A win here would secure it for them. If they lose here after this performance, that's got to be pretty demoralizing, and they would have to work their way through Splice tomorrow.
And now Fnatic. You know, we've talked a lot about G2 because, you know, they've made this comeback happen. They're now at a point where they're in even footing. And in terms of the straight 5v5, we've seen it. Fnatic can't win anymore. They need to go for some incredible play. And as you guys have already mentioned, there are no towers. All it takes is the commitment from Fnatic to just rush down that Nexus and potentially end the game. There is very little that stands in the way of Fnatic securing the win. And so G2 have to keep their eyes open because Fnatic will always look for that option. They will always keep their eyes out. If you overstep a teleport, if you overstep flashes, one small mistake could still cost this game for G2.
And it means that even now, the G2 have the gold advantage. They picked themselves up the Elder Dragon. Well, with Baron spawning another time in this game in a minute and a half, G2 still are going to be hesitant to leave their base because, quite honestly, Fnatic could still make a bum rush play and look for the end.
We heard people talk about it before the game even started. Match of the week will give you match of the flipping century, and this game has lived up to that. The longest game of the split now as we crest the 46-minute mark.
Okay, his Elder...
No, his Baron.
Oh, sorry, Elder Drake just ran out.
Just ran out.
There we go, there we go.
On the side of G2.
Inhibitors, you can see this timer's down your bottom left screen. Both should be respawning at about the same time. Neither team really been able to leverage that. Full builds pretty much across the board. Perkz working on his 6th. It's still a very close game. Both teams very hesitant. Like, you never get to practice this point in the game. You know, when there's no real objective to play around, when everything is exposed, it's all about who makes that play. It is about those clutch moments, those crucial decisions that will win you these games because you can't play smart, perfect League of Legends at this point anymore.
With Quickstrut not being on the show this weekend, I want to give a little quick stat as a shout out. These two teams now hold both the shortest and the longest game of the LEC split. It's been an impressive performance. What a game. The middle of the day as well. We've still got 2 games to go after this.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're done, Medic, after this. We're done.
I think these players will be done after this one as well.
We did not think this game would be approaching the 50-minute mark, approaching our 4th or 5th Baron. I've lost count, guys, honestly. It's the 4th Baron, and now G2, they're going to teleport
I think it's the 5th Baron. And this, I think, is the 6th. I don't know. Either way.
It doesn't matter because it's already been started up by
Here we go.
Baron going. The double mountains are the target.
That's gone.
G2 pushing mid. They're round warping. They're round warping in. G2 are going into the base. The Baron buff, though. They can get the recalls. How many can they stop? G2, you got to stop them all. You got to stop them all. They're in the base. G2 are looking for the win. Can they pull it off? The round warp. Once again, the red wave goes out. They wait. The Nexus. The no way! The Nexus towers at the one side. G2 get the first one, but Reckless and NSA get in the back door! Oh my God! Let's go! Flipping way! You can do that to them!
Thank you all for tuning in, and let us know if you enjoyed the game or have a specific match that you want to see by tweeting @LEC. Match History, we'll see you next time.
a sport.
Hey guys, it's not a sport.
Okay, wrap it up. It's not a sport.
It's over, no goodbye.
Not a sport? Huh? Who gives a shit?
Welcome back to the LEC. Get ready for the match of the week in the battle.
The systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break. The planet and us are connected. We share its veins. We can continue to clog them, or do something about it. By using millions of recycled plastic bottles in our new generation of durable washer and washer-dryer tubs, we reduce plastic waste from leaking into nature's veins. Discover Beko Eco Tub washers and washer-dryers for healthy living on a healthy planet.
Across the sky, who knew a storm would come and break apart this lie? Like a pillar of flame, my love burned through the roof. It couldn't be contained, but you were fireproof. I'm trapped in the void, an endless plain. No armor can protect me from this pain. Backstabbed by the one who I love most. How am I supposed to cope? I should be glad that we're apart. When you're so reckless with my heart. Rebirth for the wound that you can't see. Rebirth from the ashes where you left me. And when your tears fully stacked, I know that you'll come crawling back. I gave you 8 long years, and you just threw it away. They even got a new man, and you still wouldn't stay. I guess you had some reasons. They benched you that one split. They made you play Garen, you and me, but I never thought you'd quit. I'm trapped in the void, an endless plain. No armor can protect me from this pain. Backstabbed by the one who I love most. Betrayed. How am I supposed to cope? I should be glad that we're apart. When you're so reckless with my heart. Rebirth for the wound that you can't see. Rebirth from the ashes where you left me. And when your tears fully stacked, I know that you'll come still fighting. We aren't the ones who have lost, we're still fighting. This is goodbye the woods that I'm riding. By the one who I love most. How am I supposed to cope? I should be glad that we're apart. When you're so reckless with my heart. For the wounds that you can't see. From the ashes where you left me. And when your tear is fully stacked, I know that you come crawling back.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany, on a day that's marking a new chapter in LEC history. The old rivals G2 and Fnatic have represented EU in the last 4 World Championships. Tonight, one of these titans will fall as they battle to keep the 2021 season going. One way or the other, this series will lead to a brand new path for both teams. I'm Shocked, and I am joined by Verius and Goldborg on the analyst desk for this absolutely epic day. But I gotta say, man, that is so much harder than it looks.
It's actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, I'm in awe. You know, I've been your biggest fan for years, but this is really nuts. Thank you for doing that for the fans.
Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed it.
I'm also a fan.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it was
and
awesome.
thank you to our wonderful production team. We made that in a very short notice.
Yes. Regardless, I hope everyone enjoyed it and it helped getting us, you know, even more hyped for today. But let's start, Goldberg, by what we saw yesterday. A statement win from the LEC champions, the Mad Lions. They're sailing up as favorites to defend their title. What a best of 5 that was. I mean, best of 3.
I mean, yeah, genuinely, Mad Lions really just proving themselves that they are this capable playoff teams despite having that regular season. I think they were extremely scary in all games in 3 different ways, which was the most impressive thing. And the most impressive thing to me as well, their early game, all of a sudden they were just straight from the get-go ahead in the game.
It was Niski that sat there and said that he thought that this team had the best mid-game in the league. And it was something that I hadn't really thought about, but I think yesterday was a perfect example of why that is the case. Regardless of what position they're in, whether they be ahead or behind, they find a way to be proactive on the map, and they're able to stay consistent and be able to go even regardless of their position.
Yeah, Mac also had a lot of insights there where he thought that they just knew what to do in the situations. If they are behind, if they are ahead, if they are equal, they have clarity in those moments, which also brings them to good team fights, because when the engage is good, usually the team fight is also pretty good as well. I think we need to commend especially the player of the series, Kaiser, again. The man found all the flanks, the man found all of the engages, Vedi. It was nuts.
He really did stand out yesterday, and you know, you talked about it. His engage setups were what gave Mad Lions so many fantastic team fights. He found Hans Summer when he just shouldn't have been allowed to be, and he was so flawless in his execution.
It's also just the way they're playing around with the vision. Do you know how many times we see a support who tries to do what Kaiser does? They get spotted and then they get killed. It was the fact we saw this so many times from Kaiser that it just didn't make sense. He was just too good yesterday.
Just gonna let us enjoy the soundtrack. It works so well. He just snuck up on them time and time again.
Master Sleuth.
Yes. Oh, this is actually beautiful. We get the pro view out of this.
So what's amazing here is he uses his head slash away, and then he sees Hans Summer. It's Hans Summer that he's able to get that engage off, and it sets up the fight beautifully. Just flawless execution, and like he's making, you know, for when he first joined the league last year, expectations were high. He already made his way into the top 3 support list, and right now he is fighting to earn that title of best support in EU, and he already did a great job at MSI. He's going to represent us well at Worlds.
It's going to be great. Let's talk a little bit about Worlds. I know that I went from reading on social media last week that EU was totally doomed to now all of a sudden we're going to win because Matt is so good. So I'm relying on my analysts to give me like a rational opinion on how Matt could do at Worlds.
Well, personally, I'm optimistic, mainly because I like what we're seeing from this team. They are extremely confident in terms of their early game. We know that they have huge champion diversity. I think there are some question marks around that top lane pool still, but I think that what Mad Lions have shown is that they are prepared and ready for any situation, and they will fight to the bitter end. And that mentality at an international event is exactly what you need.
I agree with all these sentiments, really, from VOD as well. And to me, it's also just the fact that when I take a look at our whole league holistically, Mad Lions just does play the best League of Legends right now. Is it to the point where I feel like the top 4 comments is going to come through with Mats in semis? I think time will tell, really. But what we can say is that we should be very optimistic about this team.
We'll see, of course, time will tell. We also need to spare a minute for Rogue then. Rogue, of course, not out of the playoff race. They're now going to play the winner of G2 or Fnatic. Goldberg, you said a couple of weeks ago, if I have to pick a representative at Worlds for EU, I'm going to put my money behind Rogue because I think that they can match the LPL aggression. What do you think now?
I mean, I think that Matt just proved me wrong with what they did, because clearly you can't match that early game aggression, and when you're not matching it, then you're just falling behind the mid game where, you know, quite frankly, they were running around like a bit of headless chickens towards that mid game. And when that happened, I kind of lost my faith in Matt, not in Matt, but in Rogue as well. So I'm actually taking that statement back.
It definitely feels like Rogue are not the same selves that we saw during the regular season. Dominant, pushing early game leads into controlled, clean execution to actually close out the game. They struggled against Misfits. They were dominated by the Mad Lions. The only hope now is that they use this time to prepare for next week, where they go up against one of the eventual winners of today in G2 and Fnatic.
Absolutely, they're going to need it. But of course, they can come back from this. Now, across the globe, new teams are starting to lock in their spots at Worlds 2021. Here's Laura for an international check-in.
Thank you, Shocks. We have a fierce battle in the LEC tonight, but with the Worlds just around the corner, teams all over the world are trying as much as they can to make it to China this year. First, this segment is a massive spoiler, so if you want to rewatch all the action from the LCS, LCK and LPL, turn off the stream for 3 minutes and we'll see you right after this. But right now, Team Liquid have already qualified for Worlds, and after spending just 1 year in the LCS, Alfari is back on the world stage. The former Misfits top laner was instrumental in their win versus 100 Thieves yesterday, and Team Liquid secured the spot in the LCL Summer Finals. 100 Thieves will also lock the spot at Worlds, which means that we will finally see Dagger on the international stage. Congrats to both teams, and we're always happy to see that our former EU players are doing well over there. Perks and Cloud9 can still make it to Worlds and face off against Power of Evil's TSM later tonight in an epic battle for NA's last spot. Now, let's move to the LCK, where Genji managed to grab their first world ticket yesterday. However, our eyes on the current world champion Damwon Kia, who will be there to defend their title. Despite some issues earlier in the roster with some swaps, they have bounced back in the LCK playoffs, and no matter what, Damwon will be a force to reckon with at Worlds 2021. And the most important news from the LCK this week and this morning, the unkillable Demon King is back. Faker and T1 will return to Worlds 2021 and take on Damwon in the LCK Summer Finals next Saturday. It was a dramatic series versus Genji earlier today, but thanks to some great late-game shot callings and play from the bot lane of Teddy and Keria, the LCK Titans are looking to reclaim the title. Question is, can they also return to their dominance on the international stage? Now, when it comes to the LPL, everything is still left to be decided, but one thing is sure, we will not see team from last Worlds returning. For now, no teams have qualified yet, but we will soon know if Super Kawhi DoinB will return to Worlds and fight for a second title, as FPX have made an impressive run in the playoffs so far. If they win next series versus Team WE, we could see a battle and reunion between FPX Nogori and his old team Dawon for a second title, which would be one of the most hyped matchup at Worlds for sure, as the LCK and the LPL looks to be the favorites once again, and I'm very sorry about that, EU fans. But for now, we have some important business in the LEC, as one of our 2 most successful EU teams will definitely miss out on Worlds this year. And Shox, back to you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Fantastic checkup there because there's so much to keep track of. And right now, today, we're focusing in on our last Worlds spot as we continue the historic rivalry between G2 and Fnatic, now with a brand new twist. Before we get to the matchup, we're going to test the experts on their knowledge in a G2 versus Fnatic quiz. Now, everyone at home can also join at discord.lec.gg. You guys ready?
And we should say we have not seen these questions ever before.
No.
So,
exactly.
Let's do it.
Here's question 1. Except Reckless, who has played the most G2 versus Fnatic games? Caps, Jankos, Perks, or Broxa?
Well,
They put Broxa in there, and that makes me uncomfortable.
Wait. With Caps, does it count when he was on Fnatic and then versus G2?
Ooh. Yes, Fnatic G2 games.
Caps.
But Caps joined in 2017. And then maybe 2016.
Wait. I need to pause. Kevin, he just brought up, is it also, so it's Caps both on Fnatic and G2, right? In Caps in Fnatic G2 games?
I mean, I'm going to say Jankos anyway. I'm saying Jankos.
It's Perks.
Damn it.
Perks at 61 games, Reckless at 63. So Perks is the correct answer. 0 and 0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Question 2. Of the KDA Kings, Reckless and Upset, who has the best KDA in summer so far?
Upset.
Correct.
That was a hard one.
Discord also got that correct. Production, just so you know, I do have the answers. So, question 3. How many international knockout stages have these two teams made combined? MSI and Worlds.
Oh, combined.
Fnatic and G2. 10,
oh, math, why?
12, 14, or 16?
Oh, my word. Okay. Quick. Semi-finals, quarterfinals.
Ooh, you're just flexing now. I like it.
I'm saying 12.
I'm going to copy the homework and add 2, so 14.
14 is correct.
Yeah!
Discord is also correct.
What? How?
Because they're Googling. Of the top laners that have played for Fnatic and G2, only one has gotten a pentakill in the LEC, so not internationally, in the LEC. Was it Expect, Gamsu, Bwipo, or Wonder? Don't look at the teleprompter, for some reason something is bolded.
Wait, what was the players again?
Expect, Gamsu, Bwipo, or Wonder? Pentakill.
And who got a pentakill?
Who had a pentakill in the LEC?
I don't remember any of those.
Discord got it wrong, so Goldberg, you could win here, I think. You could clutch it.
I'm saying Expect.
I'm just going to go with what people won't expect and say Gamsu.
It's Expect.
Damn it!
When did Expect?
Yeah.
When did we get a penta?
In 2017.
That is a guess.
I'm not sure. What's the score?
It's tied, isn't it? And Discord beat us both, I think.
All right, I have, okay, name all the top laners that have had a pentakill in the LEC. You and Discord.
Start with Betty.
No, he's out. You and Discord.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm just going to lose.
I know.
Huni?
You literally just heard that Expect got
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, no.
Right,
no, not like this.
Yeah, you can figure it out. I'm going to award the victory to the fans. Here we go.
They deserve it.
Let's get into the matchup now of our final series of round 2. It's time for G2 and Fnatic to battle it out for our last seat at Worlds. So it's time to get very, very serious because this is such a big matchup. And over the past years, Fnatic and G2, they have been staples on the international stage. And tonight, one of them will fall, which will mark an end to 4 years of Fnatic and G2 representing Europe at Worlds. There are so many great moments to look at, I think, Fetty. If we start with G2, it started in heartbreak, really, for a few of those tournaments.
It certainly did. It wasn't until MSI 2017 that we really got to see what G2 could do internationally. That was considered Perk's best international performance until, of course, Worlds 2018, where he went with a roster with such low expectations behind them, taking down RNG, going up against IG in the semi-finals, and then only continuing their success with the evolution of the roster into 2019.
I think it's also the perspective of it in general, as VDSA, because back then G2 vacation was a meme. Like EU as a region in general wasn't really put on the landmark in international success. It was years to come later that would happen.
And Fnatic, on the other hand, I think about a lot of great moments, right? They rarely ever get stuck in groups, but they always make it dramatic.
They certainly do. So many insane Fnatic moments. 2016, the base race. 2015, both them and Origin making it to the semi-finals. 2017, Fnatic getting out of that group that they should not have gotten out of. The Week 2 Fnatic, famous internationally and something that many international teams have come to respect. It is an organization that has earned many much respect and history over the degree of the worlds that we've had.
I think that's also what's so crazy about this. Once again, it's that both teams here today is not only teams that has qualified already to the World Championship, but it's former world finalists that we're actually seeing here, and only one can go today, which is just why it's so mind-boggling between the two organizations.
And we have to highlight this one particular storyline, which to me tells so much of the story of what's also between these two organizations. Reckless, always looking for that LEC title, always looking for international success, making the gambit this year and jumping over to G2, now being on the brink of being knocked out by his ex-team, and Upset maybe finally making it to Worlds.
That's the craziest thing, right? Upset for the longest time was considered the person that was meant to overtake Reckless, the guy that was supposed to surpass him, and he's never been able to beat him in a best of 5. And now Reckless joins G2, the rival organization, the team that's supposed to finally get him to the trophy, the world's title trophy that he has craved for so long. And this year, all he has done is struggle. It is going to be insane to see who actually comes out on top. Will it be Reckless, Upset, G2, Fnatic?
Yeah, all the things that Vedius just mentioned, and also just due to the fact of the recent success that we've had this season, like it is a rivalry with Upset, never really having beat them, but despite that, in a best of 5 obviously that is, but despite that, it seems like Upset down in this bot lane has had the better season this time around.
And he's been playing fantastically, I think, throughout the playoffs also, and I think when you look across the board to our Fnatic, it's also insane. You know, Adam in his rookie year, Whippo, who now is playing in the jungle, who got to that world final when he was a sub in the top lane, but got to play in those games. Then the fact that Niski really wants to prove himself again on European soil at Worlds as well, and the bot lane of Hilly and Upset wanting to prove that they are the best bot lane in EU.
It has been a hard-fought playoffs for Fnatic. At the end of the regular season, the expectations were that they would finish top 4, that they would be one of the primary contenders to secure themselves a world spot. But after struggling during the final weeks, they've had to fight their way through Vitality, through Misfits, and now through the Titan that is G2 Esports. Going the full 5 games in every single series, Fnatic have fought tooth and nail to get to this point.
It's nuts. It's really, really crazy. We also have some insight from G2 because their strategic coach, Nelson, he joined the team a couple of months ago, so let's get some more insight from him today, before today's series, rather.
And thank you, Shocks, and thank you also, Nelson, for joining me ahead of your game. Big day today for G2 and Fnatic, but I want to roll back and talk about the work you've been doing with the team since you joined. Tell me more about your role and what kind of improvements do you see with G2?
I think, at least for me, I've arrived in Berlin during the second half of the split. And I think my role in the team is to basically let them understand what they are trying to do or what they want to do in game. More on like the macro side of the game and like trying to softly influence the champions we play and the style we play. And I think there has been improvements for sure, but we faced many difficulties on the way as well, right? Because at least for us or for me, we know, or I know like what the meta is, but we chose not to play towards the meta. But I think in the last weeks, we worked more on playing towards, you know, how the game should be played, and I hope it will show today.
What is difficult about breaking players' habits and making them understand that, yes, the way that you guys play is fine, but if you tried something different, maybe it would be better for the team. How do you manage to do that?
Yeah, I think it's not easy, right? Because, I mean, for sure, for some teams it's different, but at least for the team in G2, we have like so many veterans. Some of them have played for 10 years, and there are like many bad habits which are very hard to change. Like if I have to give you an example, it's like yeah, so why does the AD carry have to stay in mid lane in the mid game, you know?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, it doesn't always make sense to have like your AD carry to stay in mid lane when he might not be able to help the side lanes out if there's a fight breaking out. But if the AD carries on the side lanes, there's a fight breaking out, your two solo laners can teleport to help him, you know? So I think it's like small stuff like that is where we are still working on. I hope it can show today.
Yeah, micro adjustments, but as you said, it's veterans. So also I think that experience today is going to be a very important factor when it comes to G2. Talking about the matchup specifically, Fnatic, G2, we know the story, we know what it means, but it's do or die for both teams. And the fact that you ended up both in the loser brackets means that there's some improvements that we will be looking for today. What should we be looking at when it comes to G2 and Fnatic today? What will be the focal points, you think?
I think the team who is more patient is going to win for sure. I think, at least for us, I'm not sure like what the public or the rest or the other teams think about us, but I think we, like throughout the split or most of the split, we are a very patient team, probably the best like late game or scaling team, of course. And I think we are good. We are like a good matchup against Fnatic because I think like they only have like one mode or one button where they can only run forward. They never run backwards, and I don't think that's how the game should be played right now.
All right. Well, Nelson, thank you so much for these insights. I'll be looking forward to seeing all this on the Rift today. Good luck against Fnatic. And Shox, back to you.
Thank you so much, Laura. We are on stage for the occasion. There's a lot to unpack from that interview. We don't have that much time, Fetty, so I'm going to give you the chance to kind of react maybe to some of the things you've heard.
Well, it was interesting to hear him talking about how he wants to fix some of the bad habits from some of the veteran players. Sometimes when you play for a certain amount of time, you get stuck in a certain amount of ways and certain approaches to the game, and it seems that Nelson has done a lot to try and shift that perspective, and hopefully it will result in a different style of G2 that we might see today.
He also talked about, you know, being more patient in the regular season and playing out the team fights, and I think I want to focus on kind of the drafts that G2 has chosen of recent in the playoffs. It was a lot centered around bot side versus Mad Treats. What did you make of their approach?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of consistency in the G2 drafts in the series against Mad Lions. They had a lot of Tristana and they played a lot around bot side, with Wunderu being more of the weak side player. So I think that was interesting to see.
I think it's also in general the fact that, you know, when they finally then played topside, it still didn't really work out for them. You can quite clearly see in these drafts that they've had that they want to play around this bot side that Treats are mentioning, and they are kind of sacking the top lane a little bit in that aspect.
Of course, my counter would be that first game we saw of G2 versus Mad was one of the best games they've played all year, right? So why does that not work?
Well, I think that Mad adapted, and I think that's what we've come to realize is super important in these best of fives. Being willing and able to play both your bot side and your top side is incredibly important, and it's something that Fnatic has actually already shown us. When we have a look at their drafts, initially they primarily focused on playing through the bot side of the map. The Xayah Rakans being big picks for them, but when they brought out the Cho'Gath, they're actually a lot more invested towards playing towards the top side, trying to shut down Hirit in the top lane and actually denying Misfits a style that they were so comfortable with.
And that was the same thing for me, because I got nostalgic there. I finally saw the Adam that I saw at the European Masters that got the resources up towards the top side of the map, and that was my question at that day as well. Can Fnatic actually play through top side? And I think they showed that adaptability there.
Do you think, Treats, that that's going to be the biggest factor here? The fact that we have not seen the same versatility from G2 that we have from Fnatic in playoffs?
Yeah, I think so far the name of the game in playoffs has been adaptability, both for Mad Lions showing that they can play early game style, and then Fnatic showing that they can play top side. I don't know if you guys can hear Jankos. Probably can. Yeah. He's very excited.
When they told us we'd be on stage, we thought there's one thing you need to think about. It's that guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, but adaptability has been the name of the game, and I think today is not going to be any different.
All right, we'll see what happens. I also like to pull up the Whippo kill map, which we also pulled up before the Fnatic series. And this was what it looked like before they played Misfits. Betty.
It certainly did. In their series versus Vitality, they were very bot-centric. And the reason why we wanted to highlight this is because when you look at their series versus Misfits, notice how Whippo's focus suddenly changes. There's a lot more investment towards the top side of the map. Yeah, they're still looking to dive in the bot lane. They still do make some plays down that side. But the fact that Whippo's focus, and early game focus in particular, really did shift throughout the series is very positive for the side of Fnatic, because it shows their adaptability and flexibility.
And then this is also why they are so scary in a best-of-5 scenario, because they can do this on the fly as well. We saw it against the Vitality team as well. They realized Selfmade and Leader plays a very mid-lane-centric style, and all of a sudden Whippo together, shifted his pressure from the bot side into the mid side and completely shut it down. So definitely something to look forward to today, that adaptability.
Oh, absolutely. There's just so much between these two organizations. I know that the memes and the salt are flowing either way, but it's incredibly serious business. It is for that last spot at Worlds. There were quotes flying from all around the world, from Khan, for instance, about G2. I think there was also a quote today from Hillesang about G2 and about kind of the clutch factor, if that is still there for them or not. How much do you read into these things?
Well, I think that the expectations around the world are that this G2 roster should be good, and I think that we've seen that they definitely can be good. But depending on who you speak to, will tell you very different things around what the level of performance this team is. They are a different G2. With the addition of Reckless, they are behaving and playing differently. The question is that difference enough to get them back to the World Championship?
Yeah, I agree with you completely there. I think it's just, you can't really rule out G2 at any point, I think. They just have stacked names, they have a stacked roster still, and I mean, it just takes one pop-off performance, right, for them to make this series happen. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see.
Let's talk about some possible pop-off performances and look at some lanes. I want to pull up the champions pools for both Wunder and Adam, and there it will be very apparent that obviously there is a difference in approach. Goldberg, what is the key here for either top laner to win the game?
I think, for example, if you start with Adam champion pool, once again, I hate we overuse it, but adaptability again through the top side. Even the Renekton matchup is something that Adam can play as a weak sider and then still have some pop-up performances in the team fight scenarios. They only share the Mundo, so these two players are just very different in their champion pool.
And I think that the reason why we bring this up as well is because we want to focus on Wunder. The reality is he is known as a big carry topside player. We know that he can play these carry champions, but we need to see G2 invest in him. We need to see that same level of adaptability by trusting him and putting resources in him, because that is one of the best ways that they can find to actually match G2, Fnatic rather, in their style.
Treats, what does your gut tell you? Is there more left in the tank? Has G2 just not shown it yet, now that they've come through the lower bracket?
I mean, I still have some G2 copium in me for sure.
Okay.
I think they still have something in the tank for sure. It's really hard to rule them out, honestly.
For sure. I also want to look at who, for me, have been some of the best performers on the Rift in these playoffs so far. Nisqy versus Caps, the mid laners. I mean, Caps has been phenomenal, I think, ever since the second half of the summer started. And I think Nisqy gave one of his best performances I've ever seen in the last round. So, Goldberg, what do we look at here in terms of the mid lane match?
That's the thing. I did not expect that big of a mid gap going into the Fnatic Misfits series, but Nisqy really popped off. And having seen a Twisted Faith solo killer LeBlanc in a side lane, I never saw anything like that before, just saying. So I think Nisqy definitely had a pop-up performance in his series where the mid lane priority and using that priority to influence the rest of the map is going to be key today.
I think it's really interesting as well, because when we talk about champion pools, they do have quite different champion pools. We've been seeing a lot of Silas from Nisqy, and I wonder how he's going to use that in this series against Caps, because we know that Caps typically is a very flexible player, and as you can see, he's a hyper-aggressive one. We've been seeing him try and go for 1v1 solo kills multiple times in the second half and in playoffs, and we know that he is hungry and ready to go back to the World Championship.
Absolutely, and I want to touch on the bot lane just one more time, Treats, because as said, we've gotten the hype around the bot lane from Fnatic being they are the best bot lane, Hillesang and Upset. But of course, Reckless and Mickey are no slouches. Phenomenal bot lane itself. Where do you think this is going to go? First off, do you think that G2 is again going to go all in on that bot lane in the draft?
I think with the preparation time that G2 had, they will have something else than just going bot. I think they're also going to use their top lane resources to have an advantage in this series. So I think we might see some more adaptability, but maybe for the game 1 and game 2, there will be a bit more bot focus than the rest of the series.
Okay, we've ran through a lot in terms of the game, but there's a lot that is unquantifiable in this matchup, I think. The history, the weight on their shoulders, that pressure on the players, the newer and the older players, about making Worlds. It is your most important goal when it comes to the year, and definitely at this point in time when there's only one spot left.
Yeah, for these players and these organizations, Worlds is what matters so much to both of them. They both have multiple LEC titles, and of course, they want to win the split. They want to prove that they are the best, but proving that they can compete with the best internationally is what really matters to so many of these veteran players on both sides.
Oh, fantastic. Well, without further ado, it's time for predictions. Let's see. Vedius, you can go first.
I'm going to start with the G2 3-2. I think that it's going all the way. I think that it's going to be a 4-5 games. And it seems the G2 is quite excited about my first prediction.
Treats?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to agree with Vedi on this one. G2 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to explain, or do you just want to have
No, I mean, I think it's the 3-2, yeah.
All right, Goldborg, what are you going to say, man?
I mean, if you've been good before, you can be good again. So I'm actually giving it a bit more confidence this time around. So I'm going to say 3-1 instead of the 3-2.
The copium. The copium. Wow.
Jankos is happy with that.
And let's see what Discord said. Discord said G2 3-2. That's, hey, you know, I'm just going to say it. That looks like a jinx. I'm gonna say. No, of course, fantastic chances for both teams. G2 and Fnatic, they want to make it to Worlds. Everything is on the line for Fnatic and G2 this series. So without further ado, let's get to the action.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Great job, guys, building up the excitement and the hype.
I love how loud Jankos is every time they get locked in.
He's getting me excited at least, right? Like
he's shouting louder than when they won that fight. It was against EDG at Worlds where he was screaming, nice! You know, I think he's screaming louder than that now.
Well, I mean, of course, because if you win the series, you get to go back to Worlds. One of these two teams will not be making it to the World Championship as a European representative.
If you lose, you're out.
Yep, that's how it works.
Don't make playoffs to make Worlds.
Exactly. Don't make playoffs for you. Anyway, Fnatic versus G2, one of the most storied rivalries in the history of the LEC. Usually something we see in the finals, but here we see it in one of our lower bracket matches. The loser is out, no contention for Worlds. The winner goes into next week to face off against a Rogue in that lower semi-final, and then hopefully against Mad in the final.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of, isn't it? The desk already touched on it. 2016 was the last time Fnatic missed Worlds, and G2 have made Worlds every single time they've been in the LEC. So someone's losing their, you know, long run of just making it to international events here. And I think this is such a stacked game. You have 7 World finalists in one series.
It's absolutely absurd. 7 World finalists. Caps has been there twice. The only players that haven't been there before, Upset and Adam. Of course, Upset has been close.
And Niski.
And Niski, sorry. No, Niski's gone to Worlds.
Yeah, well, finals though.
Oh, I was just talking about Worlds. Sorry. That was my mistake there. Only person that hasn't been to Worlds. Adam and Upset. Niski went to Worlds with Cloud9 a couple of years ago. But let's get on into the draft, Cajal, as we have a look at this. Thresh immediately banned out by G2.
Yeah, I think Fnatic are going to ban Varus, and they're probably going to ban Xin Zhao as well. The thing is, the difference between these two teams is G2's only played 4 playoffs games. Fnatic has played 10. So G2 have a lot more information on what their pick ban looks like. And G2 has always played blue side as well. So they're in their comfort zone, and they are onto the blue side. I expect Xin Zhao to be banned away perhaps from Fnatic. Otherwise, they might want to target ban Caps, who's had phenomenal performances on LeBlanc and on Syndra.
It's interesting how much LeBlanc has risen in priority across the course of playoffs. We didn't see her that much during the regular season, but she seems to be one of those key picks for the mid lane. Banned out here. And now my question really becomes, what roaming mid laners are we going to see from these teams?
Biggest thing now is TF and Ryze. We've seen a lot of Ryze in the LCK especially, and it's starting to rise up a little bit in Europe. Renekton banned away. Adam, I think, played 4 Renekton games.
5 games.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 games on Renekton. That was his go-to. I think after that, it's kind of like Mundo, Mordekaiser, Cho'Gath, a bit off-meta-ish champions. If the Renekton is down, so we'll see what he picks in top lane. Obviously can have counter pick on red side. Last ban now, Syndra, Lee Sin, Viego, Xin Zhao all up, but they're gonna take away Ashe. I wonder if that spells a Kalista early rotation from Fnatic. G2 instantly taking the Rakan off of Hylissang.
I mean, Rakan is just such high priority over the last couple of days of best of 5s. We've seen it brought out by Kaiser, and now once again we see it going into the hands of Mickey. As you say, Hylissang very well known for it, but Mickey's no slouch on Rakan.
Oh yeah, definitely not. We'll see what Hylissang wants to counter Rakan with. Normally we see things like Morgana out of Hylissang, and although he did win that one game, I still think it's not the real style that Fnatic want to approach here. Kalista with the Ashe ban makes sense as well. We'll see what they opt into in the... Yeah, there it is. You see the Ashe ban, the Varus ban. It spells out a Kalista 1-2. They're going heavy for bot side.
I wonder if they'll look for their support here as well. Of course, Hylissang thrives on those engaged champs. Something like a Leona can work okay alongside the Kalista or even the Alistar.
Could take away a power pick here. You know, you could take things like the Syndra or a Lee Sin if you want, if you're jungle, or Viego, and then pick support on 3, maybe even 4-5. A lot of champions tend to counter Rakan. Kalista wants to pair with Alistar, Leona, Nautilus, Rel. 4 champions open. You can easily pick support on 4-5 if you have higher priorities. In this case, it's Viego. I would like to see, well, G2, Reckless always plays Tristana. When Varus is banned away, we tend to see Tristana 2-3. That's the 4 games that we saw in the playoffs. It was Varus, 3 games of Tristana. We'll see if he goes back to it, but no, we could be seeing a Xayah Rakan come out here from Reckless and Mickey.
I mean, historically, Reckless has been very comfortable on the Xayah as well, and it teams up so well with the Rakan that I'm not too surprised that it has been brought out. Xayah, his 6th most played, 7th most played, with a 76% win rate across the course of his career. Alongside that, G2 looking to the jungle. Lee Sin will be their lock, and interestingly here, Xin Zhao actually making his entire way through this pick and ban phase.
Yeah, maybe Jankos favors the Lee Sin in this draft. Rakan gives you a lot of playmaking, and maybe he thinks it's just the ideal pick into Viego and into Kalista. But anyway, now Fnatic, do you pick your support here, or do you go for a high priority pick, maybe like the Syndra? TF still open as well for Nisqy, which I think is an important point. You know, you can pick this here now and ban away 2 mid laners. There's a lot of options Fnatic have here, but the Leona, really powerful champion, gonna pick that up now.
Teams well with the Kalista, and it does mean that we have junglers and bot side of the map locked in for both teams. We're looking to top, we're looking to mid. The question for Fnatic is, who do you give counter pick to? Do you get Adam a counter pick in the top lane against Wunder, who has been struggling a little bit in playoffs? Or do you give it to Nisqy so that he can deal with caps in the mid lane?
I think you might have to give counter pick to Adam, but then again, G2 always like to blind pick champions in top that are very tank heavy. That Diana ban catches me off guard a bit. Unless that's going to be like a Diana solo lane, Lee Sin already picked, or maybe they think Lee Sin solo lane, Diana jungle, something along those lines.
Yeah, Lee Sin solo lane fell off a little bit after the nerfs a couple of patches ago, but it does still work. It's just nowhere near as strong as it used to be.
Okay, so yeah, definitely solo lanes are the aim of the game. G2 tend to blind pick tanks for Wunder. I'll call it weak side in this case, where he picks things like Mundo, he picks things like Tam Kench top lane. And it looks like they're just banning away Adam's champions for now. Set taken off the board. Syndra is still up. Ryze is still up. TF is still up. Alongside Orianna, I think these 4 mid laners will be what both teams are looking to prioritize, given the amount of engage that they have.
Something we talked a lot about yesterday is not wanting to have 2 high priority points on the map. You don't want to have a really strong top laner alongside a really strong bot lane, because then your jungler has to split his focus a little bit. So with the Kalista here alongside the Leona, my expectation is Fnatic will want to focus bottom lane quite a bit in the early game.
Yeah.
So Adam will then be put onto tank duty on the top side.
Yeah. You'd expect so. And that Gragas ban also catches me off guard a bit. Caps was laughing there. Maybe he said like, we have Rakan picked. You're not the best Gragas on our team, Mickey. Maybe it's targeted at Wunder for the Gragas top lane. And there goes Cho'Gath. So tanks being taken off the board from both sides. Danaban a little bit off, but anyway, both solo laners now the focus. The question that you had earlier was who's going to get the blind pick and who's going to get the counter pick on Fnatic. Countering Wunder, Jace is still up. You know, these things, Irelia. I think it looks like it's just going to be a top lane blind of Mundo, just a weak side top for Adam. It makes sense. You have Kalista, you have Leona. Fnatic tend to play for bot side. You have a super strong bot lane right now. And then just blinding a top, getting the best mid matchup for Nisqy, because often what you see teams do is they play through mid into a side lane. In this case, getting a counter pick mid will help that.
Definitely will, and the question is what caps will want to pick blind here. That Syndra still available, the Blanc banned out of course, but then Twisted Fate and Ryze have worked their way all the way through this pick and ban. Both of them very good at taking pressure from the mid lane and moving it into other portions of the map.
Syndra Lee Sin just sounds so strong right now, doesn't it? But maybe they're just going to go, they're going to go for the Orianna instead. So very, very well-rounded comp, I have to say, from G2 here. You've got a lot of playmaking, a lot of engage with Orianna Rakan, and you have good scaling. Now, Wunder has blind picked the Camille. Now, Wunder's been playing a lot of tanks top, other than the Jace. No, sorry, not a blind pick. Mundo's been showed, of course, so the true damage will help out into the Mundo. But I think this is the first game that Wunder actually has a counter pick in top, I want to say, in playoffs especially, because normally he just gets, they pick blue side, Wunder blind picks top, but in the end. And then the biggest question was, what is Nisqy going to counter the mid lane with? And that's going to be his Sylas into the Orianna. Obviously, will struggle in the early lane to kind of get prio. Has to trade his HP for the push. Orianna should be favored in the level 1 to 5.
And with the drafts locked in, it looks like both teams are going for relatively traditional styles here. Nothing too outlandish. You see mages in the mid lane, a lot of damage coming out from the bottom side of the map, and then top lane tanks and disruption mostly.
Yeah, G2, I mean, you can leave top on an island in a sense. You can know the Camille can just scale. Bot lane is going to be the focus for both teams. You have to expect, and playing through mid is so important. Cap should have the push early. Jankos can contest alongside Whippo. But if you look at both comps in a vacuum, Fnatic double AP solo laners. Not so much split push. You have Sylas that can go side lane. Other than that, you have a lot of team fight. Whereas G2, similar in a sense, where the Camille can go side lane. So whichever mid or solo lane is ahead will be beneficiary on the side lane to collapse first into the team fight. But lots of scaling in mid and AD for G2, and lots of playmaking in mid and AD for Fnatic.
Oh, everyone take a breath. We've got 5 games of this, hopefully. Fnatic versus G2, the most decorated organizations in the history of the LEC. 15 titles between them, 65 matches in the past. And this might be the most important best of 5 they've ever played against each other. The world's spot on the line. Let's get on into it. Looks like early lines of scrimmage from both these teams, neither of them stepping too aggressively into the enemy jungle. Jankos just having a little bit of a poke of his head in, but I do just want to come back to something we've mentioned a couple of times here, Kadril, and something that I think has to be the key focus for us, for the audience, for everyone watching this at home, and that is the fact that these guys don't miss Worlds. Fnatic have only missed it in 2016. Before that, they missed it all the way back in Season 2. G2 have been there every single time they've had an opportunity to be there. So every single time since 2016. And not only that, both these teams, when they go to Worlds, are our best performing teams. Fnatic made finals in 2018, G2 made finals in 2019, G2 then made semis in 2020. And this year, we're only going to have half of that power. We're only going to have half of that punching power, and it's on Mad and Rogue to really carry the rest of the reigns.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do it. You know, the last 3 years of being a European fan at international events has been amazing with those results, and we'll see if the teams can step up to it. And it all begins here. Which one of these teams will make it there and represent Europe at the World Championship? Upset and Hillesang just getting a little bit of vision, and Adam's going to spot out the ankle. So both junglers pathing bot side as expected. Bot lane is a little bit of an Armageddon down here because you've got a Kalista lane, and Kalista lanes need resources. You want to stack waves, look for dives. You have an Aftershock champion, Leona, you have good setup, and there's TPs on the map, so you really want to invest into it. Rekkles and Mickey undefeated on Zyra Khan. Not together, but that's their win rates right there. So that's good.
That's on the champions specifically, not during these playoffs. Of course, Rekkles yet to bring out the Zyra during summer playoffs 2021, but it's a difficult road for Fnatic to fight into. A combined 100% win rate there for Rekkles and Mickey.
So there's an interesting thing that'll happen here, because both junglers will path bot, but Fnatic will have bot push and G2 will have mid push. So we'll see which one can leverage their lane to contest that Scuttle Crab. You can see Fnatic stacking waves in bots. We'll see if Whippo just wants to do 3 camps and maybe run there straight away to look for some kind of dive or pressure on the map. Right now he's opted into 3 camps topside. Jankos similarly. And in isolation, you might have to favor the Camille in this matchup if she can just push, even without vision. If she knows where the enemy jungle is, she has Ignite in the all-ins. As long as she scales, gets Sunder, she's almost like a tank killer.
That's exactly what Divine Sundra is designed to do. Adam taking a chunk of HP there as Wonder pushes him back underneath the tower. Adam trying to farm up but not being able to get too much out of it. Of course, the Mundo passive, that CC shield, will help him out a little bit against the hookshot wall dives, but Whippo has decided not to do any of his bot side camps here. Instead, he's looking for mid lane. Caps a little bit caught out, has to flash there, as Niski was going to land the chains.
Yeah, good flash. If he doesn't do that, the second he gets chained, Whippo's going to channel the W and flash instantly. It's going to be a chain CC, and you'll probably get chased down. So making sure you save Hillesang.
Going in, looking for Mickey here, but Mickey can just battle dance away. The important thing for this is that Whippo gets a bit of time where he knows the enemy bot laner can't come up, but he isn't able to step in and steal away that red.
Yeah, Jankos 2 camps up right now, so I don't think he minds losing this crab. He can run through mid and take topside crab, which means Whippo can't take away his bot camps. The only problem there is his bot lane's in isolation. They can trade aggressively on the other side. Exhaust already popped.
For the moment, Rekkles will be able to walk back underneath this tower, but as you said, getting this Kalista lane so important. Ahead is a flash from Hilly. He was looking for the flash stun there, but couldn't quite land it. Whippo down towards the bottom side of the wall, across the wall, will spot him out if he dares tread outside of the tri-bush.
There's a dive in the waters here, you'd expect perhaps, because they have a wave stacking up and they know Jankos is topside. Whippo's going to force away Mickey. They have no exhaust on the dive, they have no heal either. Looks like G2 is going to have to back away unless they want to invest TPs. Niski's already basing, Caps spacing too to make sure they're there.
And the important thing about this is how much do Fnatic get and how much can G2 do, because they're looking towards this top side. Niski does have TP. If Adam gets dived, he's going to try and dodge around. The CC chain will come out. There's the TP coming out from Niski as he rejoins this fight up towards the top side. Wonder and Jankos are going to back away. Meanwhile, let's have a look at what's going on down towards the bottom side of the map, because Whippo is still waiting for that gank.
The problem Fnatic have now is once you invest your mid lane TP to save your top laner who's already low, you have no TPs to get into bot, and Caps can match the dive. So the only person that can join bot in that case is Caps, so Fnatic can't force it. They just have to crash the wave, and looks like they're going to back off. Whippo going to go back to clearing his camps. Jankos taking away his Krugs, which is the second respawn. So this Krug takeaway, as small as it might look, it's actually the second respawn camp for Whippo, so that's going to hurt.
Wonder, remember, is running the Ignite in this lane. Look at how low Adam is. That Ignite's going to tick for 150 or so true damage. Adam might have to back away. Does have the TP to get back. Still has a flash, but Jankos is going to try and stop this port. Sonic Wave hits. Resonating Strike can follow that up, but with the minion wave not there, don't want to go for the dive as of yet.
He can kill him, Jankos, if he gets on top of him. No, he's just going to opt against it. Doesn't know where Bwipo is. He could have based and ran towards the top side. So risky to overcommit. Wunder can't join with an E-Flash. He has Ignite, so just going to back off in the end. Adam zoned away from a lot of creeps. You can see the 10 CS lead for Wunder already. And there's a world where Wunder can save TP here to help out his bot lane. We'll see if he does. But the biggest problem G2 have right now is Caps has no flash, so he needs information. You can see he barely has any vision around mid. Only a ward on Raptors. And Bwipo can keep sneaking in here. He has flash to gap close. Niski does too. The wave's not in a good spot. So G2 need to bail out their mid laner.
Bwipo could look for the Razor Beaks here, stealing that second spawn, so important for a jungler. As we've said, is equal on CS with Jankos right now. But you can see Caps has to play all the way back here. He just can't step up without that vision, Pedro.
Yeah, Jankos and Bwipo both haven't based yet. Almost 6 minutes into the game, neither jungler's based, just keeping on clearing. See if anyone can help out Caps here, because he really can't step up. The wave's good. Here comes a flash.
Should still look to try and dodge away from the Spectral Maw, but you can't dodge away from death. First blood, Niski.
Yeah, that problem was lingering for over a minute there. I'm not surprised no one really noticed it on G2. Fnatic collapsing and punishing that wave state. Caps, he was in a safe spot. He was quite far back, but the overcommitments with the flash means that no matter where he is in that lane, he's pretty much dead due to the CC chain. Adam going aggressive onto Wunder, forcing him back. Will let the wave crash into him.
Yeah, really good start there from Fnatic. 1,000 gold lead for them here as well. And Caps had to TP back to the lane, has now hit level 6, but still doesn't have that flash for about a quarter of its cooldown. Let's look at where we are in terms of states of the other lanes, because Adam was put behind early on, but he's been able to get some CS and catch up with Wunder as the wave crashes into that top lane tower, so Wunder will get a bit of an advantage. But on the bottom side, Upset's got a huge lead over Reckless because of all that pressure Bwipo was putting down.
Yeah, exactly. Both junglers and mid laners hovering to opposite sides, which in turn basically means you're zoned off waves. In this case, Adam was zoned away, so Wunder has a slight CS lead, and Upset managed to zone away Reckless, so Reckless is a little bit behind in this lane as well. We'll keep track of that for now, but both junglers are going to base. Jankos out on the map already, hovering towards his top side. Adam has flash and ultimate, but Wunder has the ultimate to lock him up. We'll see if this play is forced.
You know Adam's trying to get away from that. Hextech Ultimatum coming out. Jankos was going in the opposite direction. Adam trying to trade in. The Ignite's been ticking, and Adam won't be able to survive. Jankos takes the kill.
Good execution. It's as simple as that with the Ignite. Niski's hovering around. He has flash. He could gap close onto Wunder here with E.
Yeah, flash, steal away the ultimate, and then jump forward. That's what he's looking to do, but he puts the Hextech Ultimatum down onto Jankos. Niski trading in here in a 2v1.
Oh,
Niski winning, but he takes up a tower shot. Jankos should be able to clean this one up, but can't quite do it. TP comes out. Bwipo off towards the top side as well to protect his mid laner. Jankos, though, might step straight into Bwipo here, puts down the ward, notices that Bwipo's there, and will have to back away.
Yeah, Bwipo's level 6. Jankos is really low. He can't contest that. He might lose his blue buff for that. Trading in bot's gonna miss. And Niski tried to get one person, but he was hitting both in that fight, it felt like. You could see towards the end of the fight, he queued on top of Wunder, I believe it was, and then tried to flash to finish him off. In the end, he got both of them very low, but didn't get anything. So the biggest winner of that is Caps. You can see he pushed in mid, and now he's moving towards bot lane after having crashed that mid wave, which means that Fnatic's bot lane might have to respect it.
They really do. And after a few forays, after a few scuffles in the first 8 minutes of this game, it's pretty even. Only a 500 gold difference between these two teams. As I say that, Wunder may be caught out. Spectral Maw goes wide. Wunder still looking to trade, but can just hookshot wall dive across this wall as and when he wants. Spectral Maw coming out as well. There's a Heartbreaker. Jankos joins the fray, but he's only level 5. Niski on his way as well. Bwipo's going to eat that honey fruit to be okay as Adam chases them out. Meanwhile, in the bottom side, Mickey had to dance away from death as Upset and Hylissang looked to put the pressure down.
Yeah, Jankos wasn't level 6 there. If he was, he could have looked for it all in mid. Niski's going to deal a lot of damage on the Caps here. See if Caps wants to trade back with the ultimate.
Man, I do love the fact, in Pick and Ban we were saying it's difficult for Sylas, levels 1 to 5, to deal with Orianna because of the ranged into melee matchup. But because the Shockwave comes out here, Caps looking for it. Counter Shockwave used by Niski, but Jankos is here, still only level 5. Caps has to flash away, and Niski will live to fight another day. Can't quite survive in the end as Caps takes him down. But you can see Niski in this pure 1v1 is winning out those trades.
Yeah, when he can get on top of the Orianna, it looks like he can win the trades and he can start to chunk her out and push her back. Caps doesn't have the